Sean and I were just talking about start of the season. This is the time of year we love. There's lots of new product coming out, so we're really fired up to see what all the companies have in store for us. And next week we head down to Orlando for the annual merchandise show to see exactly, what all the fuss is about. So, TaylorMade they've been, pushing the M3, M4 story really hard. We've all heard about Twist Face by now and what kind of that entails. Yesterday was the official launch by Callaway of the new Epic Rogue line. Obviously, Epic was massive last year. We saw that, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
We saw it was hugely successful. So we're curious to see what the next evolution of that's going to be.
And then going down to the show, we actually get some of the product in hand. We've seen M3, M4, Rogue for a couple days now. The SM7, we've all seen pictures of. It's going to be nice to get down there, see that in hand, actually feel it through the turf, and seeing some of that new stuff coming out.
One of the unique things we're going to be doing at the show this year is we're actually taking our YouTube channel live at the show. So we want you guys to live the show through us and get a chance to experience what it's like on the demo day, on the kind of show floor. And we're going to actually have time with all the manufacturers. We're going to talk to their R&D teams. We're going to talk to the people who are creating the products and everything that we get a chance to ask them, all the questions that we get as golf geeks we have in our minds. So and we want you guys to be a part of that. So throughout the week, when you see us on the live shows, please leave lots of comments for us, and as I say, live it through us. Ask the questions that you want to know. We can actually ask them while we're meeting with the companies. So that's a unique position that we're in.
Because when we're down there, we probably have the exact same questions that you have. Yeah. I know we're asking the same. We want to feel it as well. We want to see it in hand. Definitely. Because we're golfers too. Yep. And we live it every day.
We do. So we've got Matt here who's with us, and Matt's going to be loading up some questions, and we're just going to start from the top. Yep. Okay. So as soon as those start to come in, we'll start firing the answers back. So kind of what's got you fired up for the season?
What's got me fired up is just seeing. I mean, we've had M3, M4 in for a couple days. Probably getting our shafts in there. Probably just seeing a couple different tests come in. I mean, we saw maybe 3 or 4 kind of that low kind of delivery. I want to see a little more of that high toe. Yep. So once we get that in, I'd like to see just the actual
innovation and see what it's like. Right. I mean, the off season is rife with one thing. It's rumors. You hear about this new product came out and I tested it and I picked up 5 miles an hour ball speed, and I'm of the mindset I'm skeptical until you show me. So until I've got it in my hands and my customers are in front of me and I see the same thing as what's being sort of touted by the manufacturers, I'm a skeptic until that point. I'm not going to be believing in hype until our technology shows us that it's true.
I mean, you look at the Epic last year, how well it did for us. Right. I'm excited to see that new technology in the fairway wood and the hybrid.
That's right. So Jailbreak was the big story from last year. The ability to reduce the frame bulge and energy loss from getting the kind of the top and bottom of the club to sort of separate. We want as much energy coming out the front of that club as possible, and they've managed to engineer Jailbreak into the fairway wood and the hybrid to just up the ball speed on that. So cup face technology was the big story Callaway had with fairways and hybrids. Now Jailbreak is in there. It should really elevate it even further. So and the Epic story continues. I've had a lot of people actually ask me, Sean, just recently about how is Epic Rogue going to top Epic. I don't necessarily think that it has to. I think it's a product that stands alone in its own right. Yep. For me, when I look at it and I kind of look at the profile of both, I've had both side by side in my hand now, I look at Epic Rogue as speed with more forgiveness built into it. That's what I look at. Speed and stability. That's a pretty deadly combo anyway, but I think it's just a slightly more forgiving product with the speed. Right. That's what I'm seeing from it early on. I mean, what else is out there? I mean, let's talk about some other niche products. Putters, for example. So Even Roll. There's a line we done really well with this year. Yep. We saw some new models, didn't we?
Yes, we did, and they also came out with a lighter version.
Yep.
As well. So they've added to their mix of predominant, which performs very, very well of what we see.
Yep. Definitely.
So
Well, we've always seen them, they're heavier headweights, aren't they? Starting at
Right.
355, up to 370, up to 385. So,
Yep.
you know, you can customize whatever weight you want. And we've been accustomed to the Scotty Cameron headweights of 330, 340, 350. So Evenroe took that up a notch. So people were, you know, I guess giving them the feedback that they wanted a heavier head. Garen Rife is a veteran of the industry from his time at his first company, Rife Putters, and he knows exactly what the consumers want. So he's put that into the Evenroe line.
Yes, and just like we saw a couple days, and we see when we do our fittings, different models, people set up differently with them.
Yes.
And so it all depends. What I may like to look down at, I may not be lining up correctly, and you're the same, and we may have to go through a couple different models.
Yeah, I mean, trust me when we say that, you know, you will line up to a putter with a dot, with a sight line, with a T sight line setup, with no alignment aids, 2-ball, you know, whatever it may be. You'll line up to them all slightly differently. Your eyes and your perception and all that perspective changes depending on the alignment. So, you know, try some different putter styles, some different designs, and you might be pleasantly surprised that the one that you can aim at the target allows you to kind of keep the face at the target the longest. We all probably heard the story from Kapalua, you know, where Dustin Johnson was spent some time with Keith Sabarbro at TaylorMade, and he was, you know, looking at some different putters with them, and his gamer, he was aiming something like 9 inches to the left. And then they obviously made an adjustment to the alignment on the putter. All of a sudden, he starts aiming it correctly, you know, and I think the putter was the unsung hero at Kapalua for me. Obviously drove it great, but the putter was pretty good as well. To win by that margin, you can't just drive it good. You've got to putt it good as well.
That's right.
So
yeah, we don't want to underestimate a putter fitting and to look at that.
Finish the job. You know, that's without a doubt. We're going to probably jump the gun a little bit on this one, but a little bit inside info is Callaway have a new ball coming out. So we'll probably get our knuckles wrapped for even mentioning this, but here we go anyway. One of our contacts in Europe has been telling us that he's been testing this new ball by Callaway that has a new material inside it called graphene. So graphene, for some people who may have heard of it, is the world's strongest, lightest material. So there's a layer of graphene inside the new golf ball, and what that allows it to do is can obviously compress and recover faster. So, you know, graphene is something I've personally been aware of for several years, and I've been waiting for it, actually more in shafts. The Aldila Synergy shaft actually has a layer of graphene in there, or has graphene content in there now. But I've been waiting for this to come from a material standpoint. Stronger and lighter is synonymous with golf. Why do you think we've always went towards mixed material? Because if you can add carbon to titanium, you get the strength to weight ratio where you want it, you can get the movement of mass where you need it, and all that does is it increases performance and stability, which helps you, the golfer. So as the materials kind of obviously evolve and, you know, we learn how we can use these other materials, that's going to just benefit the golfer. Okay. Like some other products that we're excited to see down at the show. We're a Foresight facility here at TXG, but we saw today TrackMan just launched their new technology, which allows them to read impact point on the club face. So you know, I would say Foresight stole the show last year in Orlando. They really did. The ability to kind of measure strike point, and, you know, with the standalone quad, and GC2 done that, but quad was the next level of it. That really, I think, launched that technology. So TrackMan are fighting back this year, so it'll be interesting to see, you know, once we get a chance to know a little bit about this new technology, what that's like.
Yeah, and impact location has totally helped from a fitter standpoint as well, right across the board. It also helps the member that comes in here and does a member practice, knowing path, like right across the board. It's been nothing but beneficial.
Knowing your tendencies, isn't it?
Yep,
you know, you've got to know your tendencies and where you strike it, and the subsequent results and performance you get from that. So, you know, we don't hit shots out the middle all the time. You know, we hit the odd shot out the middle. I was listening to, you know, Tiger's new promo on the twist face for his new TaylorMade promo. He says if he hits, you know, 2 shots right out the middle of the club every tournament, he's had a good tournament. That tells you he's managing his misses the rest of the time. Okay, so maybe take that with a pinch of salt. Tiger's probably hit the middle of the club a little more than twice a tournament, as that's the way my mind goes with that one. But the reality is you have to manage your misses. So if you know that you're predominantly on the toe or on the heel, he says he misses it in the heel. So you got to know that you're not going to be getting excess cut spin from those heel strikes, and that has to be accounted for with your setup. So in the shaft world, which is obviously we're very connected. We've repositioned ourselves this week. Last time we done our Q&A in the bay. This time we wanted to give you a look at kind of the candy store that is the shaft wall and get excited about that. We can't wait because probably 2/3 of the shaft wall is going to go.
Change.
We're just about to rip it down and start again. So we're excited to see what the shaft companies have in store for us. They're always pushing the boundaries of kind of engineering and performance and material content and upping the carbon content of their shafts and lowering the resin content to make the shaft more pure and store as much energy as it possibly can. That's very important on the high-end shafts. So we'll wait and see what they've got in store for us.
And that gets us probably just as excited as the new clubs, because at the end of the day, that's just benefiting the end user. The more we learn and the more we get better, tighter product in here, and different weights and different all the way through right down to the younger player and an older player as well.
Well, I mean, and the shaft evolves as the club head evolves. The shaft manufacturers are reacting to what the club heads do. So, if we look at the G400, for example, really heavy head weights. Okay, so if you use a shaft that's predominantly the mass is in the tip section, and you're going to see swing weights in the high Ds. So we have to react to what the club heads are doing and pull certain shafts, for that reason. So. Lots to get excited about, and we can't wait to bring you that firsthand from the shop floor.
Ready for a question?
Let's do it.
So we got a question. What are the telltale signs that a driver shaft is too stiff?
Telltale signs that the driver shaft is too stiff. Go for it.
I'm going to say the launch is normally a little too low.
Yeah.
We're fighting it, and normally it's going to be lower launching, definitely running a little more. So that'd be my first telltale with that.
I would say if you're playing a shaft that's too stiff, the number one thing your swing will try and do is try and make the compensations for, because you feel it, you know it. You're going to swing that golf club and you're going to know that it's not loading correctly and kind of producing the energy that it should. Like Sean rightly says, the standard chain of thought would be that it would fly too low and not deflect enough and have the right kind of launch characteristics. You'll probably not be striking it in the middle of the face. So just inconsistencies. Like if you're having inconsistencies with your ball flight, shaft flex might be something to consider. So if you're playing an extra stiff flex and you're swinging at 104, you're probably in the wrong flex. You're not far away. You're probably 3-4 miles away from being entry point into X, but you're certainly not a natural X flex. I've seen people put an X flex in someone's hands at that speed as a band-aid to maybe cut out some excess rotation in the club head or kind of cut out the left side if they're a hooker. But inconsistencies.
Yeah, and you're not going to be as repeatable. Just like you said, the 1 out of 10 isn't the shot we're looking for.
The golf club that works the best is the one that has the most positive influence on the swing. It's almost like my mantra in here. The one that works the best will have the most positive influence in your swing. Therefore, you'll be able to make your best swings with that club, and you'll get consistent results. Okay.
So, got a good question here. Basically saying, is there a point where fitting can only take ball flight optimization so far? So, say someone has spin that's just crazy off the charts, they can't get their launch up. At what point do you start to recommend some instruction?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if our chain of thought takes us to a point of no improvement, so if we try something with someone and they come in with a certain club and we change say they've got excess spin and we put them in a shaft that should lower the spin and a head that has the CG further forward and less loft and all that sort of stuff. If it doesn't make a dent, we know that the chances are they're probably creating excess loft with too much downward angle of attack. For example, for somebody who's creating excess spin, generally the spin loft window being too high is where that's going to come from. That with a strike point too low in the face. So, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, we're very conscious, and this time of year is an interesting, time for that. People are rusty, so we'll see people come in right now and they're not really swinging their best. So if we don't see the results that we think we should, we'll just say, listen, go get a couple of practice sessions, maybe talk to your coach, see if there's something you can do, and we'll look at it again next time, and that's just part of the service we provide.
At the end of the day, we're not going to make a recommendation over information that we don't have.
Yeah.
So that's probably the most beneficial leave with that.
For sure.
So, assuming someone's been properly fitted, what kind of performance differences do you see between a small cavity back and like an AP2 or something that's a little larger? What are the characteristics that you see from all the ball flights you guys see?
So from call it like a 718 CB versus an AP2, something like that. So muscle cavity, and that's become a new category. You've got muscle back blade, muscle cavity, which is kind of the transitional club, and then you've got cavity back. Right. So.
Well, that's another reason why we fit with 6-iron. Mm-hmm. It will show that little bit of miss if there is one. Yeah. Maybe we can, and that's why we also will combo sets.
Yeah.
Exactly, right down. So that's an option as well.
All comes down to strike location, really. If your strike location is in the right spot, the chances are you can handle a muscle cavity. There's not many people we are really putting in blades. Sean's been with us for over 6-7 months. Have you ever seen us fit somebody to a set of blades? No. We don't really ever fit people to blades. We might have somebody who asks us to build a set of blades, but we don't really fit people to a set of blades. You need to be a really elite player to be playing that level of club. So the difference between those particular clubs is, if you use 718 CB versus AP2, multi-material and AP2, forgiveness, tungsten weighting across the bottom of the club makes the off-center hits a little bit more supported. You don't have that same benefit with 718, but the trade-off being the player who plays the CB wants to work the ball a little bit more.
That's right.
They might have the ability to do that more with that club.
Right, and we're also seeing, when you look down, gone are the days where your CB's that thin top line and your AP2's a little bigger. They look the same. Yeah. They've really done a really good job with.
Give it the player's profile.
You got it. Yeah, and we're seeing that with a number of different companies.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Have you guys noticed a difference spin-wise with wedges and irons from hitting off artificial and real turf when you do fittings?
We really haven't. We've done a lot of testing prior to starting our wedge fit process in here. So we tested outdoors, we tested in here. The biggest thing we had to find was a mat that could simulate strike point, the height of the strike point. So when you use a mat that's really firm, you're never really going to get high enough in the face to the point where you get the correct sort of face reaction, the correct strike point. So if you're using a mat that's too hard, you're going to get a strike that's low in the face, downward deflection, and you're going to get a little increase in spin. That's not really going to simulate what happens if you're sitting on a nice kind of fluffy approach leading into the green, and you can strike it right in the middle of the head. So we had to find that first and foremost. We actually used 6 different turf heights during our wedge fit to simulate conditions outdoors. It's not perfect. In an ideal world, we would love to be on grass, but we haven't seen a massive measurable difference between the two.
Ping's new G700 irons.
Mm-hmm.
You guys get a chance to take a look at those. What are your thoughts? Who's that going to fit? Like, what kind of player do you think that's going to be best for?
Did you see that when the rep had it in?
I did see it.
Okay.
I did see it.
Yeah.
So again, not a bad top line on it. Again, with the weight low and further back, we can miss it across the face. Forgiveness factor goes way up by pushing the weight back.
Yeah.
Thin face, as they're all doing between a lot of different manufacturers, but ball speed's definitely up, launch is definitely up too.
Ball speed is really up. I mean, they're really, really fast. It's quite unique because, they've done their own job with it. Obviously, TXG kind of, drove this sector of the iron market with their hollow construction, their TPE, inside it, the thermoplastic elastomer. But Then TaylorMade come along with P790, and it looks quite similar. You know, it's not getting away from it. It looks quite similar, and it is seriously high performance as well. I mean, that's probably our hottest iron in the store right now.
Yep.
And then you've got other irons like TMB, so they all have quite a similar profile. Then Ping comes out with G700, and people go, oh, you know, they're trying to do the same thing. They're not. You look at a G700 and you look at it, you know, it has offset. I mean, it has a lot of offset. It's designed just to, you know, just to go high, go far, and be as easy to hit as possible. You can't really say that about those other products.
No,
so it is standalone. It's not really designed to compete with a PXG or a P790. It's all about maximum forgiveness and maximum speed.
And then on that vein, do you see a little trend with more forgiving clubs with the new Rogue and stuff like that, where they're getting away from the super low spin, maybe getting back to a club that's a little easier to hit for someone?
Yeah, the industry goes in those trends. It really does. When they pushed the ball speed story so hard last year, they had to then go, you know, you can't just have a Formula One car that goes, you know, 220 miles an hour without stability. You got to stabilize the thing. So, you know, it's one thing to have the speed. You need the stability to go with it. So whether they kind of found last year that it wasn't forgiving enough, we had great results with it last year. Sub-Zero was certainly a little bit less stable than GBB, but what you tend to get is when you get so low spin like that, curvature becomes more violent. So, you know, if they've increased the MOI of the head a little bit, certainly the standard Rogue, we noticed straight away the profile was larger front to back, didn't we? So we're going to get a little bit more spin from that type of profile. The CG's further back. So what that does is it stabilizes the head, but it will also lift the spin a little bit. So you won't get as violent a curvature from the lower spin rates. That's what I would see.
Grip size. How often would you say you fit smaller or larger grips, and what kind of a difference does that make in the ball play?
I think that's kind of a big factor size-wise. We tend to see, it's just really the tendency and the feel that people are gravitating to. We normally fit for basically glove size or what's comfortable in hand, really, I would say.
For sure. I mean, you can look it up if you want, you know, Google search grip size or grip tests, and, you know, different grip sizes. A bigger grip doesn't eliminate a hook. I don't care what anyone says. You know, I've seen people with, you know, a club that's built up like a tennis racket and they can hook it for fun. I mean, there's not much of a correlation with that. For me, the key to grip size is pressure, right? So you got to have the right grip pressure that allows you to hold the club comfortably in your hand, be able to release it with good speed, but be in control. It's all about grip pressure for me. Comfort. You know, some people like a less tapered grip. That's been a trend in the last few years. You know, getting the grip to be a little bigger under the right hand. It's, you know, Golf Pride with their multi-compound +4. That's been really popular in here, but all about grip pressure.
So with higher launch, lower spin irons, that trend, are you seeing players that you fit where that's just it's too much for them to hold greens and have a ball flight that's usable?
Yeah, it can be at times. Yeah, I talked to a really good player, a pro down in Orlando, about this the other day, and he said to me, he's a TaylorMade player, got his P790s, and said he's hitting them, you know, really nice height, but they don't stop in the greens. They're coming down and they're leaving a good sized pitch mark, but it runs out probably 15 more feet than his old irons. The thing is with, you know, the height issue is masked by the increase in ball speed. One of the things that creates height is velocity. So the faster the ball speed, the higher the ball will go without having the same spin to create lift. So you can kind of match the spin, the peak height without matching the spin rates. So what people are finding with these types of clubs are that the ball's coming in maybe a fraction too shallow, and it doesn't quite have the same stopping power when it hits the green. So the ball's rolling out a little bit more. For me, the kind of cut-off point is how good a player are you? You know, are you playing in greens where you really need to stop it, you know, with precision, or is it more beneficial to you to go in with a club and a half less? You know, is it more beneficial to go in with an 8 versus a 6 or whatever it may be? So that would be my take on that. For me, I think the P790 is a phenomenal iron. I have no issue with hitting the ball at the right height with 500 RPMs less spin, as long as the land angle is appropriate. I mean, we're not talking it coming in at 40 degrees and it hits and jumps through the back of the green. You know, susceptible to flyers and that type of thing. So we're seeing great performance with it.
Absolutely. I think I've fit over my last probably 3 weeks at least 4 sets.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see a lot of the longer irons be fit into like a driving iron.
That was actually what I said to John when he called me about this. I said, you know, combo them up. Benefit from it in the long irons. Combo up your P790s with your P770s, and you've got a lovely little combo set. You know, that makes perfect sense to me. So, you know, he's a high level player. I mean, he's playing competitive golf on the professional level. So, you know, he needs that ability to do that. So,
what changes have you seen in the grooves? Obviously, beyond the U and V groove change years ago, but what are companies changing their groove design to put a little more spin on it now that they're dropping, you know, the head design spin? CGs.
You'll find a little more talk in the wedges, if you will. You look at the new 4 wedges with Callaway, MD4s. They've got obviously the groove within the groove. They all fight that edge. Yeah. Right, and then you'll see the grooves change between if it's a 46 and a 56, and they'll normally stop it at,
good point. Very good point.
At the 50.
You don't want that. You don't want that performance to be the same.
No, you don't want the spin because it's more of a full shot wedge.
The thing is, you know, like I think if you caught the start of the show, you maybe heard me say that I'm a skeptic until proven otherwise. The groove is regulated. Well, so is the face friction. So is how rough the face can be. The companies can't just, you know, make the face of the wedge as rough as can be to get the friction. You know, they're regulated. They all play off the same playing field, the same set of rules when it comes to wedges. So I'll be really curious to see what that's like. I'm a skeptic until proven otherwise with that.
I have a good question about a newer golfer, beginner golfer playing, you know, a large cavity back iron.
Yep.
They're hitting them very high, but obviously they're benefiting from the forgiveness and other parts of the design. So how could you keep someone in that type of a head for that purpose, but bring that flight down to a usable height for them?
Loft and line, a little gapping session. Come in and have a little gapping session with us, and you know, perhaps the loft could just be bent a little bit stronger. Nothing wrong with that. You know, just to hit the right flight window.
And I would also add to that although some people think they hit it high, they're still well below the realm of where they could possibly and with spin. So although it could be probably working perfect for them, it's good to come in and always get that looked at. Yeah,
I mean, if come at least have an assessment of your irons if you're in any way in doubt. It's a very inexpensive way to get the most out of your current equipment and, you know, not have to break the bank and get new clubs. So that's the service we offer in our loft and line machines. Just off to our left here, we can have that session where we gap your clubs appropriately and make sure you've got all the right spacing and your peak heights are all hitting the right spots.
Yep. Very cool. What are some club fitting trends you see on tour that you haven't kind of seen the major companies pick up yet? So some things they're doing on the tour vans, club builders are doing for guys, you know, custom work. What do you see kind of bleeding into the mass market eventually?
I think it's just ultimate customization. So whether it be grinding has went on, you know, wedge grinds have went on for a long time, and now it's becoming more accessible to have certain wedge grinds. You know, you may use, you know, hot melt with drivers to create a certain acoustic preference, or you know, there's people will use hot melt to try and change the bias of the heads. The reality is it takes a lot of weight to move the CG of a golf club. I've seen multiple different examples of this, but you're probably going to have to be upwards of 25 grams of weight to really move the CG of a golf club dramatically. So, yeah, I would say things like hot melting, you know, wedge grinds would be major trends for sure. Anything you've seen?
No, right around the same.
Yeah,
right around the same.
It just, you know, different times, guys are looking for different things. You know, one example was last year. Some people who kind of know us at TXG know that I was doing some work with some tour players last summer. So Gary Woodland decided to change his golf ball. around the Players' time in May. So when he changed his golf ball, though, the whole landscape of his bag changed, because all of a sudden he started getting the right amount of spin with his irons and wedges, gained loads of control, but he didn't hit his driver nearly as good. So his equipment had to evolve based off of the iron. So, you know, I kind of think of it like a Rubik's Cube. You turn the Rubik's Cube one way, you don't just change one thing, you change things in multiple different spots. You change 5 things at once. And that's exactly what he done by changing his golf ball. He made his irons better, his wedge game was different, but he really affected his woods and that type of thing. So there's cause and effect to all of it.
A good follow-up question, just talking about the tour, is what kind of in your experience, what are sort of the height numbers, the ball flight height numbers, just to build on what we were saying with that last question. You know, how high, you know, there's some shot tracer that people are seeing, but you know, how are these guys hitting drivers? How are they hitting 6-iron? How are they hitting wedges? Like,
Love it.
What do they see?
Yeah, no, great question, really good question. And I don't hear nearly enough chatter about this stuff. I don't see nearly enough people pick up on the trend between club head speed and peak height. So Woodland, same, just to carry on from the same story, right? So he's hitting his driver at 35 RPMs, and I look at the height, and he's hitting it around a peak of about 145 feet. So sitting there with his with the guys from Akron, we're kind of looking at some different shafts, and his caddies to the side of me. So we've got the iPad out, and I'm looking at it going, he just needs to change one thing. If he changes his peak height, and if I can hit his peak height window, everything else will fall into place. So I'm looking at his club head speed was 122, and I said to his caddy, let's get it 120 to 125. We'll be perfect. So we changed the loft, we changed the shaft. All of a sudden, 121, 122. Changing his peak height gained him 22 yards on the fly. He gained way more control. He was launching it around 11 with about 2100 RPMs of spin. And it was an absolute game changer for me. He went on a tear after that. So peak height, the correlation would be if you're an amateur golfer, you're going to swing your 6-iron around 80 something miles an hour. That's your 6-iron swing speed should be your height of your apex of your ball flight all across the board for an amateur golfer. As your speed goes up, tour players, their driver swing speed should be what the apex matches. So there's just a little kind of ratio just to keep you right along the way.
Wedge specific shafts. So putting a specifically designed for a wedge shaft in their wedges. What is the benefit of that? Why do companies make those? Would you recommend?
Normally, what happens through wedge fitting is you want to keep the same kind of weight down all the way through to like a gap or a pitching wedge. Those are the full swing. Wedges. Those are your full swing, normally the same weight field dispersion, right? And then as we get into your 56 and 60, we're normally going a tad bit lighter.
Yeah, can be a tad bit light. I mean, the S200 is the go-to shaft in the industry. You know, most companies will put an S200 in there as standard. You know, it depends. I think you know, I tend to find myself if a player's using a 75-gram iron shaft, because the variable going up and down the grip, I would go heavier towards the wedge shaft, just to make sure that there's a little bit more mass in your hands. And as you change the length of the club, you still have enough weight, enough heft to be able to control the thing. In terms of, you know, people getting a shaft to increase spin and that type of thing, you know, I've talked to Voki about this. He saw negligible results with shafts that you know are supposed to increase spin on pitch shots, on short shots. Sure, you might see a little bit more as the full shot goes on, but it's just one of the many variables that go into it. But a little trick from the tour that we kind of like to do is, say you're using a set of Project X Load Zone 6.0s, okay, 120 grams. And you're playing them nicely, you know, into the wedges. Well, you're not swinging at those sand and lob wedge shots the same way you are swinging at a 6-iron full out. So what we tend to use is an 8-iron shaft. So we would use a shaft with a longer tapered section in the tip, so to create a little bit more deflection and feel. So as a taper tip set of shaft goes down, the tip size gets smaller, all the way down to the wedge. So we increase the length of that taper from the last step to where basically it goes in the hosel. that creates a little bit more feel with the wedges. So 8-iron shafts are a nice little way to kind of stop the wedge feeling too stiff when you're not accessing full speed. You're not loading it fully.
Spin rate, I'm assuming they're talking about the driver.
Mm-hmm.
What factor is probably the number one determinant of how much backspin someone's going to put on?
Well, I'd say it might be in a pretty close tie between dynamic loft, spin loft, and strike point.
Strike point, yeah.
That's your two, really. I mean, we see those two variables. We're trying to control most of those in any given fit. So spin loft, for those who don't know, the difference between the angle of attack and where the dynamic loft of the golf club are. So, if we've got, for example, 13 degrees of dynamic loft and we hit, 1 or 2 degrees up in the driver, we're around 11 degrees of spin loft, provided we don't have too much of a face-to-path discrepancy. But that's the big factors. And in ballpark, if you are 1 or 2 degrees up on it, that's about the right amount of dynamic loft, 13, 14 degrees.
Very cool. Good general question for you. What would you say, kind of in a nutshell, is the difference between coming here to your facility and getting fit elsewhere, somewhere that's similar maybe on the surface, but what would you say you guys do differently?
Say at the end of the day, it's customer service.
Yeah.
Not pushing the customer into any product. We're unbiased. We will give you what you've read about, what you want to play, and then obviously what we feel. And at the end of the day, it's about knowledge.
Yeah, for sure. That's our business is built around those two key fundamentals. First and foremost, we service our clients. Second of all, we absolutely do everything in our power to be the most knowledgeable people that we can. So whether that's considered industry leading, that's not for us to decide, but we absolutely do our best to be on the cutting edge of everything that happens. We live and breathe this stuff every single day, and we do everything we can to tap into knowledge sources so that we can do a better job.
Very cool. I know you touched on Gary Woodland. There's some questions just about what tour pros have you guys worked with? Who have you kind of been involved with? Your industry connections, stuff that gives you kind of a little bit of an inside track to the latest stuff with the best players.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky at TaylorMade. We had a lot of access to the tour players. We would get to, the domestic tour guys would come and see us, and we would attend certain tour events that would happen around the European tour, especially domestically at Glen Eagles and Loch Lomond and different events like that. So, we were really fortunate. We got a chance to see tour players, but for me, I wanted to see a tour player. Not because I really wanted to work with tour players, I just wanted to see one end of the spectrum. My bread and butter is working with the player I can improve the most, which is probably the 15, 20 handicap golfer. Trust me when I say that. I get more turning that guy into a 10 than I do out of any other golfer that I would work with. Nice to work with tour players, and it's always fun. We love the opportunity, but ultimately our bread and butter is you guys that are watching. Yeah.
So this time of year, the Golf Digest does their hot list equipment. I know you guys mentioned the P790 TaylorMade is a good seller for you. What would you, just in the different categories, what's flying out the door for you? What are you finding that people are not just asking for, but what are you recommending? Like, what's giving the best results through wedge, through driver, putters, everything?
Can we put a little asterisk next to that and do a 2017 hot list, because we don't know yet. So if we go last year. So what was your favorite driver last year?
Would have been, for me, it was M2.
Right. So
for me, it was M2.
What did you like about M2?
Performed. It was the feel. Yeah. It was the forgiveness standpoint. And for me, it
like the bigger profile?
I like the bigger profile, and the toe miss for me just seemed to not hook too much. It seemed to work for me.
For me, I never played it personally, but fit-wise, it was epic for me with the driver. That ball speed story, for the guy who could control the club face well, Sub-Zero was incredible. For the guys who needed a little bit more face stability with the track round the back, I was kind of disappointed to see that go. I'll be truthful with Epic Roll, but understand the reasons why. So that would be the driver. Fairway wood?
Fairway wood would definitely be the XR. We moved quite a few
Kelly's
XRs.
XR. But that's nothing new. Following on from TaylorMade's RBZ, Callaway launched X-Hot, right? Cup face technology in fairway woods. So RBZ was really quick, but it was kind of low launch and low spin, and when we measured the lofts, they were a little bit less. So cup face, what that done is they made it as the Callaway head as fast as an RBZ, but it got up in the air and launched. Well, they kept bringing that out year after year. X2 Hot, XR, and it just kind of kept coming. So XR was our best go-to last year. M2 was great as well. M2, Better Players M1 was fantastic. I loved working with M1 last year. I get lots of good results from that.
Yeah. And then with the irons, we moved a lot of Strixon irons.
Strixon, yep.
Strixon and the
565, the
Epic
765s.
Yeah.
Yep, really strong. Callaway Apex were great again.
Yeah.
Really good with those. What else did we have in there that was on the hot list?
You moved quite a bit. TXG.
Yeah, we do some. PXG has been obviously a big buzz in the industry for probably about 3 years now, and we may be seeing it slow down a little bit as the people who got their hands on it, who wanted to get their hands on it, did. They're struggling just to get their hands on a driver that's competitive as the iron. The iron is really unique, so they'll be interesting to watch them over the coming years. Saw Zach Johnson testing a new prototype head this past week, so be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, we're excited. Obviously, the PGA show is really going to show off the new product, and I think there's a lot of movers coming from that.
Without a doubt.
We had a question just to end on the wedge fitting. We'll be able to show the whole setup right now.
Yeah.
Just chat briefly about what you did to set up an indoor facility to be able to accurately fit wedges. What kind of turf are you using? What kind of setup? We use the GC quad, obviously.
Sure.
Touch on that.
Yeah. Well, so we reached out to our partner, Synthetic Turf International, and we asked them to send us as many samples as they could, in order to try and test the strike conditions so we could simulate strike point. That's what ultimately we always try and simulate, is the same strike point indoors versus out. We know there's going to be a little bit of the variable of if you're using the bounce correctly on a wedge, the wedge will enter the ground slightly before the ball. That's part of using the bounce appropriately. But it's not enough to significantly change the result from indoor to outdoor, and we'll show you, we'll prove it. We'll do a video on it with Matt in the summertime. As soon as the spring rolls around, we'll get out and we'll actually do this outdoors. We'll show you guys. We'll validate the process we do, because we've already done it. We tested it before we offered it, so we will show you guys what that is like. So our process goes from short shots, 20, 40, 60, 80. Then we start into the gapping. So we start going, okay, what's your most lofted club? What's your sand wedge club? That's the only part we can't do. We can't simulate the bunkers, so we don't try to. We use our experience and our knowledge, and we discuss the type of conditions the player will play in. We know we can't do that unless we're outside. And then after that, it's all just yardage gapping.
If someone were to come in for just one fitting, so say they could only pick a driver, irons, what would you say someone would get the most benefit lowering their score? What's the one biggest one you think?
I'm going to say which
we should have a little board going here. We turn our board at the same time.
Absolutely. I may shock you in with this. I'm going to say putter fitting.
Nah, you're not going to shock me. I'm right there with you.
Oh, okay, great.
Right there with you. Well, it's the club you take the most shots with.
That's right.
It's the one that we see people have no idea how to pick a putter.
Yeah.
There's enough knowledge in the market right now to go and educate yourself towards the right type of club head, the right type of shaft. Ballpark, not exactly, but you'll get it kind of right. Putters, we see some horror shows when it comes to putters, and from the bird's eye view of what your ball does, people don't know how a ball's reacting off the face. They don't know if there's excess launch and spin.
That's right.
They don't really know what's going on. They don't know how to choose toe hang appropriately. They don't know whether they should go with a mallet or a blade. The length, should they get it counterweighted? Should they use a super stroke? All these sorts of variables. So much goes into it. So, we're in alignment there, lads.
There we go.
Question about the T1100 shaft material.
Yep.
Which is that's the hazardous Project X. Just your thoughts on that, and is it something that's going to benefit a whole range of golfers, or is that kind of your higher swing speed player? How's that fitting in?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Materials like T1100, there's different ways in which you'll hear companies talk about it. You'll hear them talk about 50-ton carbon fiber. You'll hear them talking about using 90-ton carbon fiber, flags of certain grade graphite and that type of thing. That's all that T1100 is. It's a really high carbon, low resin material. The higher the content, it's a really firm material. So you would use that particular material if you wanted to kind of stiffen up a profile. And obviously, the T1100 is exceptionally stiff. The Hazardous Black is a stiff shaft, and the T1100 is twice as stiff. It's a little bit counterbalanced as well, but generally speaking, that the higher the carbon content in the graphite, the kind of more energy efficient it is. And the more consistent the shaft plays. When you start adding in resin in certain parts of the shaft, you're not going to have the same consistency in the bend profile and that sort of thing. So most of the shafts you'll see behind us are most likely minimum 40-ton carbon fiber all the way up to 90-ton carbon fiber. There's most of the companies using the really good stuff.
Specific question on Strixon's irons.
Yep.
So the question was, do you think the reason they were so popular is that it's a forged club? They offer more than just a blade. Is it the forging that was kind of the difference, that people like the feel of it and the performance was better? What specifically made those such a good series this year?
Right, okay, go with the checklist there.
I was going to say it's a little bit of all that.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm going to say it's definitely the feel.
Yep.
It's definitely, although we don't really talk about, or shouldn't really talk about distance with irons, we talk about more dispersion. If it's going farther, we've got to make sure it's in play. Yeah. It was one of the longer ones.
It was,
I would say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for the players package that you were looking down on, there was so much output from that particular head. People loved it. They could gravitate towards a club that was giving them the distance they were looking for, but they go, I didn't know I could play a club that looked like that.
That's right. And then for me, through the turf.
Yeah.
If I get a little steep on it, it just seems to come through a little more uniform divot, and that's just worked for me.
So the feedback you get from the turf interaction, you really enjoy that?
Absolutely.
With yours? You combo yours up.
That's right.
So you use 5.65 in the longs and 7.65 in the shorts.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. So for me, forgiveness. People talk about forgiveness across the face, forgiveness across the the off-center strikes. What's wrong with talking about forgiveness through the turf? If that's one way, if impacting on the toe and the heel is one way you can lose energy, you better believe you can lose energy with the club moving too much into the ground. So the effective bounce, if you want to go on the Strixon chart tonight and have a look at the effective bounce compared to any other club in the industry, it's significantly higher. So the turf interaction is so significantly different. You're going to spend less time in the turf. You're going to work in and out faster, which is going to produce more ball speed, which is going to be more efficient. So for me, that's forgiveness. That's forgiveness of forgiveness is masking energy loss, right? So you hit one in the toe, you don't lose too much distance. That's forgiveness. And it's the same with the sole design on the V sole on the Strixon irons. I think that's key. If you flip it around and look at the back of the cavity, you'll see that there's more mass in the toe than there is in the heel section. So that's been a big trend in the industry, relocating the mass more towards the toe to offset the weight of the hosel of the club that comes from that. So having the CG exactly where people think it is. One of the kind of stories that doesn't really get talked about, though, is the forging process of the 7s and the 9s, the 700 series and the 900 series. They're forged in Japan at the Endo forging house, so #1 forging house in the world. That's why it feels so good. So, they're using premium materials that you might only expect to see in the higher end Japanese clubs, which you pay significantly more for. So there's just so much bang for your buck in the Strixon product. It's really phenomenal.
Sticking with irons, you touched on it a little bit in terms of strengthening an iron to change the ball flight.
Yeah.
If you get someone who wants a certain model of iron, but maybe the loft configuration is wrong for them.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay to modify that set, or should you be putting them in a set that it's already correct for them? Is there going to make a difference in the end product?
Mm-hmm. Small changes, we can adjust the lofts, no problem. General rule of thumb is 2 degrees up is fine, 2 degrees down is fine. Any more than that, we're compromising the plane characteristics of the club. The bounce gets affected, so how the sole works, it gets affected. So there's no real point. So yeah, I would say no problem to adjust the lofts up and down. Yeah.
I had a question about how you guys got hooked up with Sean Clement and the videos he's made coming in here.
Yeah.
What's the quick story on that, and how's that been for you guys?
So Sean was in one day. You're in. I was doing whatever I was doing. Sean takes the call. Ian, Sean Clement on the phone for you, and Sean Clement. I think I know who that is. Sean's big YouTube guy. I knew him from, he done some videos with Conor O'Shea, who's a good friend of mine. So I'm like, Sean Clement, okay, interesting. So Sean wanted to come in and talk about GC Quad, so I said no problem at all, happy to do that.
Yep.
And so next thing, come in the next morning and Sean's there and Matt's there, and we've got a camera crew, and we're kind of on. The camera's on as the red light's on, and we're away. So
yeah.
We had done a couple of videos together, and it just really worked. The chemistry was great, and I think Sean has addressed just about everything on his channels, on his free and premium channels, with regards to swing content to improve your game and all the unique and interesting ways he thinks about it. But there's not really been too much equipment content on there, so we were able to really kind of ham and egg that and had a lot of fun. We literally just listened to the feedback on the channel as to what people wanted more of, and it just kind of went from there. And to be honest, it's one of the best relationships I think we could possibly have had. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, and it's still in its infancy. Again, it's only been
absolutely
probably right.
It's been a couple of months. There's so much more we want to do together. I mean, Sean is such a smart, talented, unique coach. The sky's the limit of what we can do together to produce better content.
Yep.
Follow-up to that, do you know anyone else in that similar space, YouTube guys, that you might want to collaborate with in the future, people you see maybe partnering with the same kind of way?
For sure, I've got a few on my mind. Obviously, this is new for us to, dip our toe in the water of the digital media world, but we love it, and we're getting, so much good feedback about it. There's a whole nother world. We're late to the party, really. I mean, we are and we aren't. In Canada, we're really probably the first equipment company to go hard at this stuff. But there's in the UK, you guys know the names: Mark Crossfield, Rick Shields, all these other guys who mean my golf. Those Andy and Piers, they're probably the biggest right now. They're 400 or so thousand subscribers. So. We'll do a lot of collaborations. We can provide people with a lot of value. They can provide us with a lot of value for you guys. So it's pretty cool.
Getting back to clubs, so Titleist drivers.
Yep.
Seems like the kind of general consensus with the public is they're really good feeling looking drivers, but people feel maybe in the ball speed and distance category they're lagging behind. Has that been your experience in fittings, or do you find that they are comparable to other ones?
What do you see?
And you're 10.5, 9.5. You tell them your story.
I've got a really niche market for people with Titleist drivers. I know the exact person to get into a Titleist driver. When I see a certain set of characteristics, I don't know if it was part of the engineering of the Titleist product. I'm not sure if it was or wasn't. It doesn't perform like other drivers. So if I get the guy who needs more spin, so he's pretty good on ball speed, and because I think the Titleist driver is pretty much as quick as the other drivers, give or take, negligible amounts of difference anyway. I think the Titleist driver spins fractionally more, but not much. So if you're looking to bridge a window between maybe you've got a 10.5 in one head that's too low and a 12 that's too high, go grab a 10.5 Titleist, and it will just sit just above the 10.5 from any other brand. Just spins a fraction more, but it's still really quick on ball speed, and that's my little window that I always get success with that. Slower swing speed, phenomenal with slower swing speeds. It's, as I say, quick, spins a bit more, really user-friendly. The CG cartridge is really, it really works. I enjoy the Titleist drivers more than most. I know they sometimes get a bit of a, I hear that question a lot. They maybe get a bit of a hard time in the industry, but there's definitely a place in our drawer for them, that's for sure.
And you can't beat the look and the feel.
Yep.
So club tolerances. So if someone's buying off the rack or directly from a golf shop that isn't checking the specs the way you guys do, how do you feel the tolerance is? Do you get clubs that you build and see that they they vary a lot? Is it better than it used to be? And what do you guys do to kind of mitigate that on your end?
Hard to say. I mean, I think I work for an OEM, and I know most of the time the standard is super high. There's the odd time you might get a set that has an issue, or maybe there's a loft and lie issue, or maybe a swing weight. The swing weight kind of sliding scale it goes lighter rather than heavier towards the short clubs, or something a bit bizarre. But for the most part, they're pretty good. There's just certain checkpoints that they don't address that we do. That's the biggest thing. So if we check frequency, we are addressing a checkpoint that makes sure there's not a dud shaft in terms of the shaft flex. Making sure the shaft flex is appropriate all the way through. The companies don't do that because they mass produce. They produce high quantities. We're producing what we feel is high quality in lower quantities, so we have the time to be able to do that. So making sure that we take all those relevant steps. We have a 3-step quality control process before our clubs leave as well, which is really helpful to make sure that the clubs leave and are right. But for the most part, I wouldn't say that anyone's building badly out there.
No.
The Club Connect system that you use to use all the different components.
Yep.
Is that something that affects the club performance in any way? And have you ever had someone notice the look of it when they're hitting shots? Is there any effect, negative in any way to using it?
The look, for sure. Yeah, some people kind of see the kind of connector that goes over the top of the hole zone. It doesn't last very long. Yeah. I've never heard someone after an hour's worth of a fitting say to me, I just still can't get my head around that Club Connects piece. It kind of, is there and then it goes away. Like anything else, the first time you saw a 460cc driver, you went, there's no way that's gonna, there's no way that's going in my bag. That is ugly. This little 975D I've got here is staying in my bag for sure. 5 years on, what's everyone got a 460cc driver? Yep. So the eye will get used to it. In terms of performance, which is more important, which is a great question, the answer is we account for it. So here's the 6-iron head, 206, this is our scale, 262 grams on that scale. We put all the connector pieces also on that scale, and then we go, okay, we started at 262 grams, look at us now, we're at 271. So we've got 9 grams of excess weight we need to lose. So we're going to cut the hosel and we're going to bore into that club, down into the hosel to lose 9 grams. So once we put all those pieces back together, we're going to get back to the 262 gram weight that it started at. So that allows us to not overly stress the shaft from a flex perspective. We're not going to overly influence the weight of the heel, so we get too much rotation. I hear that from some people worried about too much mass being in the heel section that affects the rotation of the club. Swing weights that are too high, so it feels like you're swinging a sledgehammer. We take all that stuff into account.
Swing weights.
Yep.
How big of a factor is that when you're building a set or fitting someone? Is everything the same swing weight when you're testing it?
No, for sure, it's definitely not. Swing weights, we see certain heads are different head weights, aren't they?
That's right.
When we weigh Callaway Epic versus Ping G400, we were talking about that earlier, significantly different in weight. So the Ping G400 is a head that is designed to be heavier in the head. It's designed to complement a counterbalance shaft. That's the way Ping designed their shafts. And so their head weights are higher. Callaway's head weights are a lot lighter. So the swing weight is obviously going to be affected, and that's, we throw in the variable of the shaft and where the mass is located in that, the balance point of the shaft. So, we see different swing weights all the time. Some people, I do horribly with light swing weights. right? I can't swing them. I know my window. I'm D3 to D5, and if I'm in there, I'm good. I'm not shooting for D3.7. If I'm D3 to D5, I'm generally good. D1, no, it's not happening. It's not going well. What are you finding swing weight?
I'm pretty much the same with you.
Are you?
I need to.
You like to feel something down there.
I like to feel something down there.
D3
Absolutely.
is D3, D2. If you're playing standard length golf clubs, is about standardish.
Yeah.
So if you're D3 to D5, you quite like feeling the head. You quite like to feel where the head is in your swing.
Right.
That's me. That's what I like.
So let's wrap it up with one last question.
Okay.
In terms of metal woods, company to company, do you find that certain ones are actually built flatter or more upright? Like, could you get a Callaway wood and it's actually a bit flatter than a TaylorMade 3 wood?
With the adjustable sleeves on these clubs, you'll actually see that lie angle is variable. So if you look in the spec sheets, you'll look at a Callaway fairway and it'll say 58 to 61 degree lie angle. So that means basically when you're lowering the loft, the club is falling flat, or when you're increasing the loft, the loft isn't working sort of like that. It's working that way. So it's working in rotation. So, when you add loft, you're also making the club a little more upright. The flattest sleeve out there right now would be probably the PXG sleeve. The PXG driver can go down to fixed 56 degree lie angle, so it sits really flat. I remember back in the day being in the TaylorMade truck, and we had the burner. I remember it was the burner 08 driver, and it still was a bonded driver at the time. We could go in there and heat the hosel and bend it flatter, and bend Retief Goosen's driver down to 54 degree lie angle. Hated seeing it going left, so played a big heavy Gripmaster grip and an 80 gram matrix shaft and a 54 degree lie angle. That ball's not going left. So adjustable sleeves change that a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you look at a Callaway product, for example, you can actually get custom sleeves. I don't know if this is common knowledge, but you can get a green sleeve which starts upright. You can get the standard one, which is what's in it right now, and you can get the red sleeve which starts flatter. So if you do your digging, talk to guys like us, we'll guide in the right direction with that stuff.
Yeah. You want to take one more?
Sure.
Golf ball performance.
Yep.
So take your 4-piece golf ball, top range stuff. What kind of differences have you guys seen across, your Titleist or TaylorMade or Callaway? Anything stand out to you?
What I find is you'll find the most during the short game. You start with kind of with your wedges and luck. The ball just catches a little lower on your 4 or 5-piece balls. They'll go in lower and spin a little more. Your ones, your 3-piece ball tends to ride a little higher before it catches. Okay. Goes a little higher.
A little higher launch.
I find it running out it'll run out a little more. And then in terms of flight, yes, I've noticed it flighting a little bit lower in your 4-piece ball off the tee.
With our ball fit, we start with the putter, don't we? So
Yes, we do.
we putt with the ball first. So we take all our golf balls in our ball fit, and we will putt with them, and we'll get a little feel for the ones we like and the ones we don't. And if there's a real preference at that point for that feels awful, I couldn't putt with that, I can never regulate my speed with that, we'll eliminate it. And that's what the ball fit is for us. It's a process of elimination. So we'll putt with it, then we'll chip with it, and we'll see performance, and we'll gauge launch and spin and make sure there's nothing happening that's kind of a bit odd. If it is, we'll eliminate it, and then we just keep working our way all the way up to the point we hit some drivers with it. And at the point when you hit a driver, the performance differences with the driver are minimal.
It's small.
The driver's designed to do one thing: launch high, spin low, be as fast as it can. So the ball's kind of the same sort of thing. So I know there was a lot of confusion last year between the Pro V1 and the Pro V1X. A lot of people thought the ball switched over, and Pro V1 was now the low spin ball, and Pro V1X was the high spin ball. What the story was actually, the tour players, the feedback was that they wanted the standard ball to spin less with the driver. They wanted, that's a bit of a difficult thing to get, is something that spins, the same as a Pro V1X with the driver, so they're supposed to spin low, but the increase with the Pro V1 in spin with the short game is there as well. So quite a difficult thing to produce, but that was what the players asked them for, and Titleist were able to deliver it. So the ball's a unique thing. Everyone has their own preferences. We don't see a standout ball every time we do our wedge ball fits. we fit with that. We actually fit with the Strixon Z-Star ball. We find fantastic performance with it. We tested, all the golf balls in the landscape. We were really happy with the Strixon ball. It lasts a long time. We had some issues with certain balls cracking. The ball deforms and it didn't reform and take its shape. By the time it hits our screen, and the ball would actually crack and break. So we had our best results with the Strixon ball. Okay, so I think we're out of time. So we really enjoyed that. Some great questions. Some really good questions, and we look forward to doing this even more. So this weekend is actually Saturday. We fly down to the show, so we're going to be down there. Just to give you guys an idea, Tuesday we're going to be at Demo Day. We're going to be coming live from Demo Day, and we're going to be shooting that on the YouTube channel. We're going to be doing our Instagram live channel as well. You'll see updates on Facebook and Twitter. So we'd love to have you guys, follow the show with us. Come down and sort of experience it through us. And ask any questions like this. This is the way this channel is supposed to be. It's interactive, and it's where you guys get to ask the questions you've always wondered. So we've really enjoyed it.
Yep.
This is, I think, your first chance to probably see Sean in the camera. Not be your last, that's for sure. He's a great addition to our team. So we look forward to doing this again.
Thank you.